Computer.
Here we go. So hello, welcome everybody to the behind the scenes recording of our show. This is Mark Torres of the Came From Radio, the host. I'm here with L-Man Jenny Feldy, who's getting ready in the background. There she is. And we have our special guest we're going to be talking to with and about. We have a stand-up comedian and a comic book author. So it's a comic, Luis M Cruz.
Hey,
So this is going to be recorded. This is going to be on our YouTube page. Make sure you do all that YouTube stuff, which is like, subscribe, and hit the button, all that other fun stuff. And then we're going to start our show. So let me just prepare myself. And I go up here, and we go here, and then here we go.
The following is brought to you in part by MFC Studios. The views of the show's host and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management, owners, or staff of this radio station. And now, it came from the radio.
Joy and welcome once again to It Came From the Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. We are here live, virtually distanced, of course, for our 63rd live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. That's www.eastmeadow.info. And we are here with none other than L-Man Jenny Feldy. And we lost L-Man Jenny Feldy. That's perfect timing. She'll be back with us shortly. But we're here with our special guest who we're going to be talking to with and about, which is awesome because he's here. It's a comic author, Luis M Cruz.
how you doing?
So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking to Luis in just a few minutes. But before we do, we're going to have to take it away with the news. The news is brought to you in part by the fine folks of sci-fi.radio. That's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi, as well as the fine folks of the Big Apple Con, which we are the official radio show of, celebrating over 27 years of comic bookness and pop culture stuff. For more information, go to www.bigapplecc.com. The next convention, for those of you who are watching us on the YouTube page as opposed to listening to us in the future, is this weekend, which is December 17th. This is the Big Apple Christmas Con, and they have, I believe, the voice of Ash from Pokemon, and they have Brian O'Hallahan from Clerks as their headliners. So if you're watching us on YouTube, and it's before the 12th, go there. If not, you guys all missed out. And there we go. I think we got L-Man Jenny Feldy back.
Hello.
There we go. Welcome back. So as we always do, we're going to, I have to mention our Patreons. To give our shout outs for our Patreons, of which there are Danny Grillo, award-winning director Jared Burrell, Kyle Horn, Millie Portez, Newsday famous Dresden Media, Unjikun, Shadow Rabbit Art, Yasmin Ray, Rosa, and the Huracan. You want to get your own little shout out, go to our website, www.cameframe.com. It's button up on there. It'll take you right to our Patreon page. And just for $8 a month, you can get a shout out on our show. We also have tons of other stuff, but the big one is just to get a shout out on our show. All right, so let's start off with the sad news as we always do. And I have a nice bunch of sad news. I'm all caught up for this time. For those of you who've been listening to the show, we've been kind of backlogged with them because we've been dropping like flies. But we'll
so much sad news, you have to split it between 2 shows.
3 shows. We got it. We were there for 3 shows. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So we're all caught up. So let's just let me burn through these as quickly as possible. Wrestler and actress Ursula Hayden died recently of cancer. Ursula was perhaps best known for her character Babe, the farmer's daughter, on the original Glow in the late 80s. That time in the ring led her to being a series consultant for the Netflix series of the same name, which is a show about female wrestlers in the 80s. While I was not a fan of the show wrestling per se, I do remember an episode of Married with Children where she showed up and I was under the impression that he was going to wrestle one of those smaller ladies, only to wind up in the ring with Big Bad Mama. Which aired, ironically, as a side note, a little insight to Mark's world. It aired on the same day, which was February 18th, 1990, which was the same time that the Death of the Incredible Hulk had aired. And I remember I was a big conflict because I was a huge Hulk fan, and I was a huge Married with Children fan. And back then, you couldn't, you had to tape one on your VCR, or else you were just going to miss it. And I wound up taping the Married with Children episode, and the Death of the Incredible Hulk was more profound, and I regret not taping the Death of the Incredible Hulk as opposed to the Married with Children episode. Were you a fan of Glow there, Lewis?
No, not at all.
Not a fan of Glow. What about you, Jen?
The new Glow, yeah. The new one on
Nice.
Netflix. Yeah, that
Yes,
was
so
cool.
she was a consultant tech because she was one of the original Glow ladies. How about that?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
So she was 56 years old. So
Too
moving on for
young.
some more sad news. Actor Robert Emmett McGrath also died recently from complications from a stroke. He was perhaps best known as Bob Johnson, or just plain Bob, on Sesame Street from 1969 to 2016 when he was fired from the show as they wanted to streamline the series after partnering with HBO. Of note, Robert was an accomplished children's author, having written Uh-Oh, Gotta Go, which has a potty training book, as well as Oops, Excuse Me Please, which was a book on etiquette. He was 90. Everybody's seen Sesame Street at least once,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So he
Yeah.
was Bob. Do you remember Bob, Lewis?
Yes,
And
I was a big fan of Sesame Street as a kid.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
was he your favorite guy? I always liked Gordon, and I had a crush on Maria. I think everyone had a crush on Maria.
yeah. No, I don't think I had a favorite guy. I had a favorite character, but not a guy.
What was your favorite character?
It was one of the puppets,
Oh, okay.
Big Bird.
What about you,
Which is
Jen?
actually, you know that his feathers are made of turkey feathers for real? And I think he's a parakeet. He's supposed to be a parakeet. Because you
Really?
wonder what
Big
kind of
Bird's
bird
supposed
he
to be a
is.
parakeet?
Yeah, I just found that out. I'm pretty sure he's a big parakeet with turkey feathers. They're dyed yellow, obviously.
Huh.
Yeah, look at
Interesting.
I don't know that. So he was 90 years old.
Okay.
Still more sad news. Actress Kirstie Louise Alley also died recently of colon cancer while appearing in a slew of movies and TV series such as One More Chance, Blind Date, Summer School, Shoot to Kill, Madhouse, Village of the Damned, For Richer for Poorer, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Highway Honey, I never saw that one, Sins of the Past, A Bunny's Tale, North and South, Infidelity, Masquerade, Salem Witch Trials, While I Was Gone, Fat Actress, Dancing with the Stars, Kirstie, Celebrity Big Brother, and You Can't Take Away My Daughter, just name a few. She is perhaps best known for her role as Rebecca Howe in 147 episodes of the NBC sitcom series Cheers, the lead in the sitcom Veronica's Closet for 66 episodes from 1997 to 2000, Molly Jensen in the Look Who's Talking films, and of course that of Lieutenant Savick in the original Star Trek Part 2, The Wrath of Khan. She was 71. I remember her vividly in all those roles. I wasn't a Cheers fan, but I remember her. But I remember her from Star Trek, the role of Savick. Did you guys see Star Trek Part 2, Wrath of Khan, by chance there, Luke?
Yes.
And how was did you enjoy her performance?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. What about you there, El Man? You just
I mean, yeah, I mean, I liked her more in tabloids and more of the things she said when she
Afterward.
wasn't scripted. Because I think there was a time where she was a little scandalous or she was like fighting with people or something.
Yeah, she did. She did say some stuff. You go
Like flipping out on set or something. I don't know. I think there was some blowouts and I thought that was interesting. I like all the stuff that's not scripted.
So, I guess the things that Jen was hinting at was that I remember at a time she was akin to Sybil Shepherd, that she was very difficult on set and she said a lot of stuff and she would refuse to come out of the trailer. But she was a good actress, in my opinion. Sometimes that stuff happens, and who knows what the truth actually was. But she did say a lot of things, and then when Twitter came out, she also said some very interesting things, which you can go find if you wish.
Oh,
After
that
listening
I'd
to our
like to
show.
see.
Yeah, she said some stuff. She said a
Oh,
lot of
very
stuff.
interesting. Okay.
So still more sad news. Boxing referee, judge, and television personality Mills B. Lane, the third, also died recently from complications following a stroke. Mills was best known for having officiated several major heavyweight championship boxing matches in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, being the claymation referee for a Celebrity Death Match from 1998 to 2002, and for starring in his own syndicated court show, Judge Mills Lane. Of note, Mills suffered a debilitating stroke in March of 2002, which left him partially paralyzed and virtually unable to speak. So while his character stayed on Celebrity Deathmatch, voice actor Chris Edgerly had to take over for the role. He was 85. You a Celebrity Deathmatch fan there, Lewis?
No.
Not a Celebrity Deathmatch fan. You a
No,
Mills Lane fan? You know who Mills Lane is?
I've heard of the person, yeah, but I've never.
He was the guy who was like, "Let's get it on." That was his catchphrase. Like there was a Ready to Rumble guy, which was Michael
Yeah.
Buffer, and then "Let's get it on" was Mills Lane. And I know Jen, you were a fan of Celebrity Deathmatch, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's super fun. I mean, I feel like at that time it was very inventive. You didn't see things like that nowadays. There's so much creative stuff out there, but that was pretty groundbreaking to me.
Yeah, and then like I said, he became a judge later on, and he was giving out that Mills Lane justice. It wasn't one of the better ones, I have to say, because I was a big fan of Judge Judy, but he had one. So let's see. So final bit of sad news. We're finally caught up to the sad news. Actress Helen Slayton Hughes also died recently. As of this recording, which is December the 14th, 2022, no cause of death has been announced. While perhaps best known for her role as playing Ethel Beavers in 11 episodes of Parks and Recreation, Helen also appeared in such films slash TV shows as Mafia on the Bounty, Shoot the Moon, Good Night, and Good Luck. I Want Someone to Eat Cheese With. That's an interesting title. Crazy on the Outside, Veronica Mars, Invisible Mother, The Curse of the Bridge Hollow, Malcolm in the Middle, and Burning Love, just to name a few. She was 92 years old. Were you a fan of Parks and Recs there, Lewis?
I've seen it. I've seen it. It was interesting, but I not a fan.
I never could get into it. What about you
I
there,
mean,
Jen?
yeah,
Parks
that's
and Recs?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it for a while. I just think it's really interesting. They said I want someone to eat cheese with, where whenever I eat cheese, it's always alone because it makes me tired. So I eat it like a sleeping pill to go to bed, and I intentionally eat it when no one's around. I'm a closet cheese eater.
so,
I don't want to eat cheese with anyone. Like, get out of here, get out of my house,
so
Goodbye.
you hide in the corner.
I
Yes,
sit right here and then I melt bowls of cheese. That's what I did at the beginning of the pandemic, and it calms you down. It's very calming. I got a little addicted to cheese, and you could tell. I saw some pictures like 8 months later. I was like, oh shoot, I got an extra coating. I gotta stop. And I stopped.
what kind of cheese? American, Swiss? Which one?
Um, I like American, definitely not Swiss, like probably like Jack or Pepper Jack or Gouda or Colby or Munster. And you melt it, you melt a whole bowl of it and just eat it, and then you feel all buzzy, it has queso morphine in it, which is like morphine, and you feel great, and it's like bye bye, and then I go to sleep right there. I just stumble 10 feet
we
back. Look, good night.
we here on the Came for the Radio do not condone people going into cheese comas.
Yeah, whatever. I have an addictive personality. I mean, oh,
That's
oh
a
wow,
new one
such a
to
bad
me.
person. I like cheese.
All right, so moving on to moving on to the not as sad news from the That's a Lot of Nuts department. The new Black Panther sequel has held on to the number one spot in the domestic box office, pulling in an additional $11.2 million in ticket sales in its fifth week of release, beating out the new David Harbour slash John Leguizamo Christmas film, Violent Night, which came in at number two for a second week in a row with an additional $8 million. For those of you keeping track, the new Top Gun sequel is still the highest grossing film of 2022 with $718 million, followed by a Doctor Strange sequel with $411 million, and the aforementioned Black Panther is still at number three, climbing up slowly with $410 million. So that means it might make number two. Violent Night has moved up from 56 to 44. So it's possible that Black Panther will be in number two. I doubt it did not get the buzz and the generation to make it to the number, make it $718 million. But Puss in Boots 2 is still out there, and I think that might be a hit or miss because kids' movies, you never know with that. And then, of course, there's Avatar Part 2. So I've been asking this, I've been talking about this for about a couple months now. So, Lewis, do you think that Avatar Part 2 will be the highest grossing movie of this year?
It's a tough choice. I saw the Wakanda movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what'd you think? What'd you think?
Awesome, awesome.
Wakanda, the second one?
Yeah,
Yes,
What was your top three things you liked about it?
I like the way the beginning. I don't want to spoil it. Spoiler alert.
spoiler
Okay.
alerts, everybody's listening.
I don't.
Spoilers.
I don't want to. I mean, the beginning when they played him off that he was dying, that the sister tried to help him. The DNA sequence part in the beginning.
Yeah.
I like that. I liked the only thing I didn't like, which me and a friend was talking about this. In the first movie, they had these sophisticated let's call them UFOs,
Okay.
and they couldn't use that in the second film to defeat underwater people. And why would you take a sub? Why would you take a submarine to a water fight? I mean, that's that's the only fallback I had. I'm like, you taking, you taking a submarine to the middle of the ocean to fight these people when that's their turf. That's their turf. And in the beginning, I like to think that, God forgive me, but he died of COVID, because that's the first thing that came to my mind. It happened 2 years ago. The same thing with COVID. It happened 2 years ago, two and a half. And the way they played it off was like, okay, it's a possibility he died of COVID or something, because they didn't even say what he died of. So she's playing with all this genetic stuff. And maybe that, to me, I was like, it touched on that.
Now, I know that Jen did not like the movie. I'm under the impression, right? Am I correct with that assumption?
You are correct. 6 hours of my life. Goodbye. Yeah. Well, you think door to door, you got a shower. I packed a little food, a hot water, picked up my boyfriend, drove there. You sit in. By the time I get home, it's 6 hours of investment, and I'll never get it back. So I'm not as heated anymore. The temperature has gone down, but I was quite heated. And even before I got there, I said I'm going to do a review on this, because who is so self-indulgent thinking that anyone wants to sit through 2 hours and 40 minutes of their art? Even asking someone to come see me for 20 minutes at a comedy show, or even watch a movie of mine for an hour is a lot. 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like, you better be doing something great. And you know what? There was nothing sexy. I got 2 jokes and they were terrible. I didn't get jokes and I didn't get sexiness, and that's all I really look for. Beauty. I like the water though. Very beautiful. Wakanda's beautiful. Oh wow. I mean the visuals, but it's like visuals for a mute.
It was filmed in PR.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the visuals were great, but you got to get it. You got to get Larry David, or someone to rewrite the whole thing, because, I mean, the final scene was like, "My name is," and it's like, that's what I'm supposed to be interested in. My name is Paul. Wow, I'm so interested. 2 hours and 40 minutes. My name
What?
is.
I'm curious. Let's take it back a little more. What did you think of Black Adam?
I didn't see it.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay.
She wasn't. It wasn't required watching.
Well, this wasn't either, but my boyfriend got tickets, and then I was like, I didn't even say yes, and I'm like, I didn't even say yes, and I'm seeing a 2 hour and 40 minute movie. Oh God! And then she refunded the tickets.
I will say this.
Yeah.
I thought that Wakanda was more of a female empowerment movie. Like there was rarely
disempowering.
Any men. There was hardly any men in there.
No, where's the men? At least give me like one strong man aside from Namor, who was kind of cool. He was. I liked him. I liked him. But the women, I don't know. I mean, the main girl, Angela Bassett, right? She's beautiful. I mean, I mean, her skin, her face, she's a gorgeous person. If she has a doctor who does anything on her face, I mean, that's the one takeaway from that. What a stunning woman. But I think it made women look bad, because they were kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't hang out with any of these girls, but I'd hire them as a bodyguard if I had the money. I mean, if I have the money, these girls could totally be my bodyguards. Like, they got skills. Like, I hand it to them for sure.
Fair enough. So let's see. We can get this one bit. Let me see if I can get this bit of news in before we take our break. So moving on. From the editor insert clip here department. Recently, none other than Sonic the Hedgehog creator Yuji Naka, N-A-K-A, Naka, had been arrested for allegedly being involved in an insider trading scandal with other former Square Enix employees. That came out of him buying shares in the developer once he learned that he would be working on a mobile game with Dragon Quest Tact. After being released, turns out that Yuji was arrested a second time because once again he allegedly purchased shares of another developer prior to the announcement that they'll be working on Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier. According to prosecutors, Yuji purchased 120,000 shares for 144.7 million yen, which is about $1.5 million US, while fellow former Square Enix employees purchased 91,000 shares for 105 million yen, and his acquaintance purchased 10,000 shares for about 11 million yen. Naka reportedly made hundreds of millions of yen through these deals. Oh, how about that? You
Wow, good
figure
for him.
once you get caught for doing that, you wouldn't do it again, and he goes off and he does it again.
Well, I was just talking to my dad, and they were saying that once a cheater, always a cheater. That's what I think the research shows, that someone who cheats in relationships is more likely to just keep cheating. And also, if you look at, is it Bob? Who's the guy who did Fire Festival? He
Oh,
keeps on scamming
the
and
fryer
scamming.
thing?
Yeah, Fire Festival. McFarlane, is that Bobby?
I don't
Is
know
it?
who it is, but I know what you're talking about. That he had
Yeah, he does
that
credit
party
card
with the social
scams.
media thing. Really?
Yeah, he does credit card scams. He goes to jail. He has a scam. Fire Festival. He has a scam. He was just recently trying to do some other crazy events
This is a
that
couple of years
reminisce.
ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The fire thing. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, but recently, I want to say this year, I think he was trying to scam again. He was trying to do some other events and something celebrity related. So he's just, I think, people who scam just keep scamming.
What do you think, Lou? You think he should have learned his lesson the
Uh,
first time, or
I
should he
I
have
know
done it
I
all?
would have. I know I would have. Handicaps in jail don't look cute.
Hmm.
All right, so moving on for this final bit of news. Let's see, we can do this one. From the Let's See How This One Goes department. NBC has announced that the Golden Globes are returning to their network in 2023. For those of you not paying attention, or care for that matter, the award show conducted by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association had been taken off the air last year, and the winners were announced via Twitter in a non-televised event. This was due to the fact that Hollywood, the United States Hollywood, claimed that the Golden Globes voting members weren't diverse enough and participated in, quote, questionable financial practices. Now, the Golden Globes claims that they have added 103 new voters to its membership, to its existing 80 or so members, and that the voting pool, quote, is now 52% female, 51.5% racially and ethnically diverse, with
Wow.
19.5% Latinx, 12% Asian, 10% Black, and 10% Middle Eastern, unquote. Of note, the deal between NBC and the Globes is only for 1 year, and the last televised event, which was in 2021, was the lowest rated ever in their 80-year history, averaging 1.5 rating among adults 18 to 49 and 6.9 million viewers in total. The Golden Globes will air on Tuesday, January 10th at 8 p.m. on NBC. Now, we've mentioned this many times, and I found it interesting that they only had 80 members for an award show. Like, that is ludicrous to me they're making all this big noise about what 80 people think. So now they're upping it to 100, and they add 100 and something more people. That still, is that the entire representation of the entire world of these movies? I say no. What do you guys think? Let's go, Jen. What do you think?
I mean, frankly, I just don't care. But I don't know. I mean, in the fitness world, I was into fitness competitions, and then about 10 years ago, I'm like, this is just another human's opinion. What do I care? Uh, and when it comes to reviews and Rotten Tomatoes, it's always the opposite of what I think. It's almost never on par with me. So maybe if I could clone myself and I could be the one judging, I would, pay attention a little bit. But everything that wins is usually hyper boring.
What do you think, Lou?
I'm a little with Jen. I don't listen to reviewers. I have to watch it myself. I have to see things for myself. I don't that that's that person's opinion, and it's not mine. Like the Wakanda thing, I liked it. She didn't.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's nothing to get mad about or anything. It's just an opinion.
No, you're
And
supposed
I'm
to be
glad that you
mad, and
liked
you're
it.
supposed to cancel
Yeah,
them, and you're supposed to do all that stuff.
I'm glad
nah.
he liked Wakanda because this shows me that I could write a movie with a kind of boring script and people might still like it.
It's
Look at that.
terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Sorry, I
So
really hated the movie.
If I ever see you in person, I'm running you over, but that's okay.
Oh my God. Wow. Wow.
I think we always have a dubious relationship with award shows in general on our show, And I think that this one takes the cake because if last year nobody cared about it, it was untelevised. The celebrities, nobody cared. They gave back awards because they weren't diverse enough for, all of a sudden, like it was like this is a new thing. And now they're back and everybody's loving them again. And I was like, well, what happened? What was the big difference? Like, just get rid of them to begin with and go with somebody new if they're going to be following award shows. And as we said, the ratings weren't even that good, so people really don't even care that much about award shows in general. And the fact that it's just 200 people saying if a movie is good and then they get an award, and it's like, oh, this means something. The only thing I would say that if it gets an award, as long as they get like a job out of it or some type of financial gain out of it, then it's worth it. But if they just get an award, and I think it really is mind-boggling to me how this is working out with the Golden Globes. But we'll see what happens. I guess if the ratings aren't there, it'll probably go away until nothing the following year. So with that, we're going to take our break, and we'll be right back with It Came from the Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Todd McFarlane of the record-setting Spawn comic series. And if you're looking for any kind of cool conversation about creators, about entertainment, about all that good stuff, you go to It Came From The Radio. You're listening to the right spot.
This is Quentin Flynn, a popular voice actor known for Axel, Timon, and Raiden from the Metal Gear series. And you're listening to It Came From The Radio. Stick around.
Hey, I'm Mike Kingston, the writer and creator of Headlocked.
And I am WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. And guess what you're listening to? You're listening to It Came From The Radio.
Hi, this is Amy Jo Johnson, writer-director from the film The Space Between, and you're listening to It Came From The Radio.
Meet Grimlock having fun on It Came From The Radio.
Meet Greg Berger also.
Now, back to our show.
And welcome back to It Came From the Radio, the official Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking for our 63rd live show via virtually distance, of course, which technically will be our last virtually distance live show because starting next year in 2023, we'll be going back to live courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. So you have to come down to the East Meadow Public Library to see us live in person when we have our next guest. But the East Meadow Public Library has tons and tons and tons of other programming, most of which are free. So you got to go to www.eastmeadow.info for more information. I am here, virtually distanced, for the last time with L-Man Jenny Felby.
Hello, hello.
And we have
in person.
Yeah, in person. And we have our special guest who we're talking to us about, which is awesome. As I mentioned, he's here with us right now, right here, virtually distanced, is author and stand-up comedian Luis M Cruz.
Hello.
So Lou, you actually were a guest on our one of the other virtual distance shows about like a year ago, maybe a little more than a year or so.
Yeah.
So why don't you fill us in what you've been up to since then and now? Have you been working on your material? Have you been writing new stuff? Have you just been staring at the wall, contemplating how awesome things are?
No, I was writing a children's horror book that I think I mentioned back then that I was planning on writing it. I finished it. I haven't written anything for comedy because I'm still a little afraid of COVID in terms of going to do a live show. I would like to. I had a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, just been writing. So
was the COVID and the pandemic preventing the creative juices of the stand-up material? Because what was the material based off of?
No, it was just the fact that a lot of places closed down that I was going to, like Rodney's closed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's one that I'm trying to get back into, the Broadway Comedy Club.
Oh, I like that. Do that.
Yeah, I like doing that one. That one was cool. I did that one twice.
And you want to do it again?
I want to. Yeah.
Yeah, so you just need a booker to get you on the show. I know people that booked that one.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Cool.
And
it's like bringer stuff.
And I'm looking into doing I would love to do voiceover. I'm interested, or not voiceover as much, speaker gigs. I feel I have a story to tell, and it can go from people with disabilities to people without disabilities. Just the fact that I was born the way I was, but I do what I do without looking back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm trying to get into that.
What's your plan to do the speaker gigs? You have a
I
business
want to
plan for it?
I want to do kids, not kids. Maybe from 13 and up,
Okay.
and I wanna hit the schools, you know,
Yeah.
and I want to do the schools and the colleges. I really feel that, you know, like I said, I'm not supposed to be doing half the things I'm doing, and yet here I am doing them, you know, and it doesn't stop me, and it definitely shouldn't stop them from believing in something they want to do.
Right, true. There's so many people. Well, what exactly are your limitations to anyone who's tuning in and doesn't really know you? What are
I
some things that you
I
thought you were going to be limited, and what are your actual limits?
um I'm gonna be honest. I was supposed to last till I was 3 years old only.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what they told my mother when I was born. And then they told her that due to my disability, that they should amputate my arms and my legs because I wasn't going to amount to nothing.
Wow.
And yet here I am, a published writer, comic book writer, do stand-up comedy from a sitting down point of view.
Hmm.
I do what I do,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's definitely
you know,
motivating.
it's yeah, motivating. Yeah, it's something that I think kids nowadays with this pandemic thing, I think they forgot how to interact.
Have you
And
seen it? You've seen a difference in interactions with kids?
yes, I used to work with children, and
Okay.
I've seen during the pandemic, we were doing communications through phones or the way this is done now through
Mhm.
virtual, and it wasn't cool. You could see a lot of them shutting down. You know,
Interesting.
I and a lot of the problem now, like even when you go now and you see the kids uh playing in the park now or anything, it's like they're shy and quiet to themselves.
Oh,
They're not
okay.
really interacting amongst each other the way they used to. I don't know, maybe it's just me looking too much into it, but I sit down and I observe things.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I mean, I'm more in tune to the adult population, not too much children, but I'm hearing that about children now. And I know
Yeah,
for me, I feel like I lost some social skills. Like I have to work at it.
yeah. Social skills, I think you can always get that back as an adult. I
Yeah,
don't
you
think
can get it back.
you forget, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think you forget. I think you just forget how to use it. How
right.
to yeah. You don't really forget it. You just gotta mingle again.
Yeah, exactly. Go back into it. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like so many weird things have happened that well, at least in my life, I mean, I've had parents that were sick with some illnesses and in addition to the pandemic. And I just don't really I'm not inclined to sugarcoat as much or small talk. I've never been into it. I'm more go right into direct talk, but when you're meeting people you don't know, to go right into real conversation can be a little awkward for people when I have such incredible disdain for small talk and what's usually deemed as acceptable conversation. I won't do it. I pretty much won't do fake conversation anymore.
I don't like fake. I don't
Yeah.
like nothing in fake. I hate
Or
that.
small,
Yeah. I
like
don't like
small talk stuff. Someone called, some member of people ask me about the weather. I'm like, are you really calling and asking me about the weather right now? Like, I'll say that.
yeah,
You're asking me about this?
yeah, when they ask me how's the weather, look out the window. You can see the same thing I see.
Craziness. But back to you. So, okay. So you have books for kids. What are some things that you offer speaker wise and also your written work?
Speaker wise, I think I have a lot to say that'll grab their attention and make them think that, you know, if he did it and if he's doing it, what's preventing me from doing it?
Gotcha.
And in terms of my writing, I just like writing sci-fi and fantasy, you know, and I
And
with
and a
children.
little explicit stuff too.
Yes, but I can't talk about that here.
Well,
Yes.
we could talk about it in a
You can
coded
talk
way.
around it.
Yes. Yes. If you'd like, I could send you a copy of it.
I was just looking at a copy that Mark sent, and
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
thank you.
Let's
Yeah.
just say there's a little bit of a risque book that he has written, and at one point he describes the woman, and he said she had long black hair, jet black hair, and he knew it was a weave, but he didn't care anyway. So that
Yeah.
leads me to my next question: do you care if a woman has a weave, or do you prefer it to be natural?
Natural.
Natural's better.
Natural's better.
Yeah, but then she could leave the weave with you and leave it behind, and you can hug it when she's not
No.
there.
No. Mm-mm. No. The only reason I added the weave is because the character that I used was I knew somebody like that.
Oh, okay.
So
Got it. So are all
I don't
these girls based on
I don't
real?
I don't kiss and tell, but I will write about it.
Right, right. Well, that's kind of kissing it that like
Yeah, kind of.
kind of. So how do these people land up in your book? Like,
Well,
what do they
that
have?
one in particular, she worked with me. She was the person in charge of the food monitor for the program I worked with, and she was in charge of the food monitor, and she would come at least 3 times a month, 2 times a month, and she was curious.
About you?
Yeah.
What were some things she was curious about
She was
you?
really just trying to get in there.
Yeah. Like the
I
questions
told you
that were
I don't like small talk.
the questions that she asked, those were all real questions. Yes.
Gotcha. So where is she now?
I have no idea.
Oh, does she know that she's the star of your book?
Nope.
Oh man, you gotta tell her because if I was the star of someone's book, which I kind of am, I'd want to know.
No. Because I based it on two different people, but the questions were this one, but the actual things that happened was based on someone else.
All right, fair
Yeah.
enough. All right, we'll move away from the salacious
Okay.
book that he wrote.
Yeah.
But if you ever find comic books to be a little boring, a little sugarcoat, a little too Disney, like me, then he's written something that's a little more explicit. I think it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. It's a little more free. And then you have
Yeah.
one that's like Halloween themed. It's like a
Yeah.
horror one.
It's like a children's spooky book.
Okay, so what's that one called? What's that about?
It's called Fright Center.
Okay.
And it's basically, again, using the center that I worked for. Um, every year we would throw a Halloween party there, and I decided to use that and have these 5 kids go in, and they discovered that a lot of spooky stuff happened. But the question is good. They got to get over their fear, and go all the way through to meet for the director of the center, who doesn't believe them of what happened. But at the end, when they go back to change into their Halloween costumes, they see the apparition that they've encountered once or twice during the story, and it tells them goodbye. See you next year.
Now, do you ever see apparitions? Have you ever seen any ghosts?
I would love to.
Never have?
No.
Are you afraid of them?
No.
No. Interesting. Because a lot of times people like psychics and specialists in this area will say that you don't see ghosts because you're afraid of them or you tell them not to. So like a lot of times they won't show up if someone's afraid, supposedly. That's one of the theories.
No. I like watching all that stuff. I just can't watch a horror movie, but like documentaries and stuff, like I watch that. But scary movies, I don't watch.
Because
I'm scared of scary movies. Like The Exorcist messed it up for me as a kid. My
what
parents took
happened?
my parents took me to see The Exorcist. I was like 7 years old. And to this day, when that chick turns her head, I'm done.
Really?
I'm done.
What else gets you? What else scares you in real life or in the movies?
In real life, steps.
Steps? Oh, okay. Yeah, well,
I'm in a wheelchair, so
sure.
steps is not
Okay.
cool.
Okay. You should do a book about that.
A book about steps. Nah. Well,
Huh?
maybe.
I like it.
Maybe. I would like to do a book on, that thing that they do, the parents do with their kids, the Santa elf, the elf on the shelf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what if one was really haunted and decided to kill?
Oh, okay. I like that.
Like playing with the kid's psych mind or whatever. And everybody blames the kid, but it's not really the kid.
Right. Right, right, right,
Yeah.
right, right. You're giving me ideas. I'm trying to think if I ever get accused of anything, I could just blame it on the elf.
Yeah.
Like I know someone for a fact throws mail out, which is a felony at a job that I sometimes work at. And like what if I ever get accused? I could just blame it on an elf.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that would be cool. But I guess that's where siblings come in because you could blame stuff on your siblings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I have two younger brothers and we always blamed each other on certain things when we were
Like what
young.
did you blame? What did you blame on them?
With my brother back in the day, I wasn't we weren't me and my other brother wasn't allowed to talk while my younger brother was playing a video game because he says that the talking distracted him. Are you kidding me? And
Wow.
he would lose. I think he just hated losing against the handicap.
So did you actually talk or did you actually follow the rule?
I did it on purpose. No, I mean it's talking. What do you want me to do? No, it's talking. No, that shouldn't distract you from playing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
No,
no, people talk all the time. I didn't know.
exactly.
No.
If your attention span is not that good, then that's you. That's not me. If
You
you
know
have,
who should play the game with your brother? Dan Romano. Dan Romano and my dad, they both can't stop talking. We're on the way to shoot Camp Blood last weekend. I said, Dan, I write night before, I put it in writing. Bring headphones with you. Bring something to read, something to do. I'm gonna be learning my lives for the entire hour and a half. I think 14 times every about 7 minutes he would start talking. He'd be like, hey, I'm gonna do the show with this guy. I said, Dan, we'll talk later. Dan, we'll talk later. By the time I got to the shoot, it's like imagine trying to learn lines and you have someone asking you questions every 7 minutes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
That was when we were kids, though. We're grown up now. We don't do that. Yeah,
But
you don't.
but you keep the youth alive through your creativity.
So I'm sorry.
You keep the youth alive through your writing and
Yeah,
creativity and humor.
I like to think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they always say that you write what you know.
I don't know
What?
crap.
Yes, they do. They do say that. So since
Write
one
what
of
you.
the books, you said it was based on things that actually happened with other people. So when you do love the sci-fi, where do you get the inspiration from for that?
Just a question. I ask myself a question and I let it go from there. Like, what would happen if the Roswell incident? What would happen if they came back 100 years from now and want to find out what happened? Did we kill their people or what? And the questions keep developing and the answers keep coming.
So at what point do you decide that's too far out of an idea, or do you just see where it goes?
I see where it goes. Sci-fi, I write it for young teens, I guess. Not really kids, not really adults. It's in between. And I think that's the best time to grab a person's attention is in that age group where they don't yet believe in it, but they don't disregard it either. They don't disbelief.
Gotcha. Right. Like adults are pretty closed off in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They say, oh, that never happened. And they have day-to-day life stuff to do. So a lot of times don't have time to read like me lately.
Right. Like I wrote a short story and I did it for my aunt, which is basically what if Jesus Christ and Lucifer meet up 10 minutes after the world ended? And they're having this conversation back and forth. It got picked up in England actually for an anthology.
Oh,
And
very cool.
yeah, thank you. And it's basically I compare it to the whenever the Batman Superman they meet up and they have that back and forth banter. It's like that because in one scene Jesus Christ appears and Lucifer sniffs at the end and goes, "I see you're still wearing the same clothes from 2,000 years ago. Keep up with today's time," because he's dressed in a suit and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Devil is the devil. And at the end of the story, Jesus tells him, you'll never be able to touch humanity again. They've moved on to the stars. Earth destroyed, they moved on to the stars. And the devil goes, Lucifer goes, as long as they believe in you, they will always fear me. And they will bring me into existence. And that's where I left it.
Do you believe in Lucifer and Jesus? Do you think that they exist or existed?
I have to believe in it only because I was born on Christmas Day.
Okay.
So I was brought up like, even though I think the reindeers kicked the crap out the box because I came out all jacked up.
You don't
But
have to believe in anything.
no, but I believe, but I don't talk to him.
Okay. Why not?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. I think he's selfish.
What, Jesus or Lucifer?
Jesus.
Selfish. That's interesting. Okay, that's a take I've never heard. Let's explore
Because,
that.
because
Why
he
is Jesus selfish?
because he takes and takes and takes and hardly ever gives anything back in terms of religion.
Like what? What does he take?
Like everybody tells me you should be grateful for God because you're living here.
Right?
No, I'm grateful to me because I'm living here.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
him.
I follow that.
He
Right.
died for your sins. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I relate to that. Yeah.
That has nothing to do with me. And then I also believe that everybody's God.
Mm-hmm.
Can you create life? Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
can. Can you
Mm-hmm.
take a life? Yes, you can. The only difference between you and God is that someone just like you will judge you and nobody judges him or her.
Hmm. Well, I judge God, so you
Yeah,
got someone that's judging him or
yeah, but
her
he doesn't really that
or
doesn't
it.
phase that doesn't phase him. You
You know,
go
we
you
had
you do a crime, you're gonna go to court, you're gonna get sentenced for it or whatever. He
right,
doesn't. He doesn't.
right, maybe. So we know of. Maybe there's other dimensions where
Maybe.
things are
And,
going
and
on.
I also happen to think that with every passing century, he loses power.
That's another interesting take I've never thought of. Every passing century, God or Jesus loses power.
God, Jesus, both loses power
How? How?
because
Why?
where is he in the
Right?
earthquakes? Where is he
Right.
in the tornadoes?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Yeah. That's the question I think many people ask. Like, if there's a God, why would these things happen? You know?
Yeah, he created the world in 6 days, and on the seventh he rested. That's a hell of an SSI check he's getting.
And maybe he's taking some CBD, THC, and he's still resting.
Social Security is amazing, and
Haha.
then I think, look, if you go back in time, if you had the capability to go back during that time and you write with a pen, you take a note.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're gonna write, "Female God appeared out of nowhere and wrote with blood from her fingers," because the pen you use is red. They don't know what a red pen is.
Hmm.
It's all a matter of interpretation. If I go back in time, they're gonna write, "Man in a chariot appeared out of nowhere and rode
Hmm.
around." They don't know what a wheelchair is.
Right,
It's
right. Well said.
interpretation.
Right.
Sorry, sorry,
No,
Why
it's
sorry?
actually no, it's
because
actually a pretty
I don't like
interesting
because God.
conversation.
Yeah, it's religion. I'm sorry.
I mean, I find it very interesting. And, religion is something that kind of escapes me because if I can't meet the author, like we're talking to an author right now, I wrote a guidebook. If I can't meet the author, I have a hard time following the book. Sorry, if I'm gonna follow like a workout plan or a diet plan or any type of plan, I want to know who's behind it. Tony Robbins, I know some stuff about Tony Robbins. I'm not gonna repeat it on the radio, but it's like, you know a few things, then you get insight into the work, and then you can decide if you want to follow it or not. But I don't know the writers of the Bible, and I know that's not a very
And then
something that you
here's
can say, but
here's something else. I have a problem with the Bible. It was written 300 years after Christ died, so anything could have been said. A
mhm,
story, and I tried this experiment with my kids that I worked with. Start a secret with 22 kids in the beginning, and
mhm,
by the time it reaches the end, that secret changed.
right.
It's no longer what you told him or her.
Mhm.
It ends in a different way. I'm sorry. It
Is
ends in
that
a
the
different way.
alarm?
No, that's my phone ringing.
Ah,
Sorry.
well,
Yeah, if
Yeah.
only we could conjure the writers, then maybe I would actually
And
go
then
out and look for more followers.
and then it's written. It's written in a way that it has every genre. It has horror. It has
Mm-hmm.
zombie. It has sci-fi. Ezekiel alone is a sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just has a little bit of everything, of every genre in there.
So segueing from that, because we're
Yeah.
at the social
Sorry.
media time, so we
Mhm.
say where can people find out more about you, your books, and where can they find and contact you?
My books, they can be found at the sci-fi novel and a vampire book that I wrote can be found at darkfirepress.com. And the horror book for kids can be found at Indie Planet. It'll be live soon.
And do you have a main website that goes like directly to you? Or you have like the Twitter,
No,
Facebooks?
You could reach me on Facebook and Instagram, under my name and Twitter, but I can't maintain a website and keep going. I would be stuck at home all day. No.
So I have so you mentioned that you were going to write a book when you were on last time, and then you wrote that book. Do you find that the pandemic helped or hindered the creative process to make that book? Do you find that if there was not a pandemic, would it have been as easy or more difficult?
No, it would have been more difficult because then I had to stay home and actually write these things down. Like I thought of 3 different titles and started writing the outline for 3 different titles while the pandemic was going on. I mean, I have a story I can write now because it's public domain. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. What if Jekyll was the mother, Hyde is her son, who was born with a disability, and she's a geneticist who has the capability of healing people who are going to be born with a disability. But now he doesn't understand that he injects himself with that serum and is transformed into a monster.
So we are almost out of time. So we got about 5 minutes left. So we're going to have our final thoughts. So, Elman Jenny Feldy, do you have a final thought for us?
Well, I guess my final thought would be more of a question. Have you ever thought or wished that someone had a serum that can turn you from disabled to able? I mean, you're pretty able, but that's the word.
Yeah, no, no, I don't. I'm happy and content being the way I am because if I was physically normal, I'd probably be in trouble.
In trouble? What would you do?
And I probably wouldn't be as creative.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Louis, do you have any final thoughts for our show?
No, thank you for having me on. I think it's a great show. And Jen, please don't forget about me with the bookers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I have one in mind specifically.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the stand up. It was on the edge, which is kind of a good way to go. And you guys can go make sure you check out his YouTube page. What's the YouTube page name? So we throw it out there.
It's the comedy channel, Louis Cruz Comedy Channel.
And he has a couple of sets on there you can check out there. So I think you want to book him for that as well. And I would love to see you do more stand up. And I want to see your insights on between what you used to do and now that the whole pandemic happened. I want to see your new side. So I want you to start writing more stuff now, so that way when you are booked on the shows, you'll be ready to go.
Thank you.
So that about does it for this week on It Came From the Radio. And for our final virtually distanced live show, I want to thank the East Meadow Public Library. That's www.eastmeadow.info. You can listen to our shows, which will be archived in a week or so. Check us out on our YouTube page, which you're watching right now. It'll be awesome. Thank you very much. And also, I want to mention that next month, which I said next year, January 2023, will be January the 11th. We'll be in person at the East Meadow Public Library with actor and producer Patrick Devani, or Devani, Devany. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but that's what I usually do. Make sure you guys check out Lewis's stuff. His books are really cool. He has a wide a range of things from the kid stuff to the adult stuff. And I think it's really interesting. And I wish you much continued success. And you're more than welcome to come down to the library and be a guest on our live show there as well. So that is it for us for this week. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Make sure you check us out at the East Meadow Public Library for our next live show and listen to our show every single week. So with that, we're going to see you next time.
You've been listening to It Came From the Radio with Mark Torres. The views of the show's hosts and guests did not necessarily reflect that of the management, owners, or staff of the station. We now return you to your earthly scheduled broadcast. You've